Hello and welcome to the Essex Boys Murder Case Part 21. Before watching this video, I recommend watching Part 4 onwards on YouTube, as these videos are all about the key individuals and the murder victims' movements on the day of the 6th of December 1995. A quick mention to the Facebook page called The Real Essex Boys Murder Club. If you're interested, please feel free to join, as there's some great people on there with a lot of knowledge on this subject. The next key individual we're going to look at is Sarah Saunders. The last time we spoke of Sarah Saunders was when she was at her mum's address in Kingswood, Basildon, and the time was about 3:30 p.m. Early that day, the Volkswagen Golf she was driving had broken down, but managed to get it going again and eventually reached her mum's address with her son. She then phoned Pat Tate up asking when's he going to be buying her a better car for her and son to get about in. Now, Pat Tate wasn't happy about this telephone conversation and asked where she was. Sarah Saunders told him she was at her mum's address, so a furious Pat Tate had gone round in the Range Rover with Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe. Pat Tate went into her mum's house and had a blazing row with Sarah Saunders. Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe have to go in and restrain Pat Tate as the situation was escalating. Pat Tate then goes outside with the keys to the Golf and starts the engine first time. He then chucks all of Sarah Saunders' belongings out of the car and he drives it back to his address on Gordon Road. Now, as you can see from the map, the red marker is Kingswood, where Sarah Saunders says she was that afternoon, and the grey marker just up here, the top right hand corner, is Gordon Road. And if you've not seen the bungalow before, this is where Pat Tate lived. Now, as you can see, it's a 4 or so minutes drive by car, or if you were to walk, it's about a 22-minute journey. In her statement to the police, she says, "I went back round to Gordon Road and saw the car parked up. I went into the bungalow and got the keys for the Golf, then I drove off in it." So from this information, Sarah Saunders must have gone round to Pat's bungalow after he had left with Tony Tucker and Craig Rolfe, and we had that down at about 6 p.m. in an early video. So we'll say Sarah Saunders turned up at the bungalow at around 6:15 p.m. Now, this would have happened before Claire Carey had turned up, as their paths would have crossed that evening, but as neither said they saw each other. Now, Claire Carey is the woman who Pat Tate was going to take to the Global Net Cafe restaurant that night, and why the booking, according to the manager, was changed from 4 seats to 6. As we know, there was a telephone conversation between Pat Tate and Claire Carey's mum, which was about 6 p.m. or thereabouts. And according to her mum, Pat asked her to tell her daughter Claire to wait on, as he had to go out for half an hour or so. So the next part of Sarah Saunders' journey is from Pat Tate's bungalow on Gordon Road to the sheltered accommodation at Great Gregory. We don't know if she got a lift to Pat Tate's address or walked it. There were wintry conditions that evening, so instead of making that journey on foot with her son, she could have set off in the car on her own and called for her son at her mum's address as she goes past Kingswood to get to Great Gregory. The red marker is Gordon Road, and the grey marker over here is Great Gregory, and it's about a 10-minute journey. But yes, she does go back to Great Gregory. If we look at the phone log evidence, we can see at 6:34 p.m. Sarah Saunders makes a call on her landline to her boyfriend's place at Flat 2, Booth Court, Hutton. So from this information we know she's at Great Gregory. While we're on the subject of phone calls and on this phone log evidence page, the last time Sarah Saunders would have spoken to Pat Tate, which was at 6:44 p.m, which is there. There's just one thing I'd like to mention about this call, and I'm sure it's been covered before, but people do say, how come Darren Nichols knew about that call between Sarah Saunders and Pat Tate? Mick Steele must have told him about it when he got into the getaway car, so therefore Mick Steele must have been in the Range Rover that night to have heard it. Now, Darren Nichols could have easily found out another way. For example, say a few days after the murders, the wives and girlfriends and other associates would have been frantically trying to find out anything about the murders, using telephones and speaking to close friends. Rumours and gossip would have been rife, with it being on television and the radio, as well as it being in the national newspapers. I mean, Sarah Saunders was good friends with Jackie Street, Mick Steele's other half. Sarah Saunders could have spoke to her and told her the last time she spoke to Pat Tate. Darren Nichols then rings Mick Steele's landline one day, and Jackie Street answers and mentions to Darren Nichols that Sarah said the last time she spoke to Pat Tate was about 6:44 p.m. that night. It's that easy, folks. Now, these are the phone logs from the day after the murders, and as you can see, there's phone logs between friends and family besides acquaintances, probably trying to find out what's happened to Tucker, Tate and Rolfe the day before. Who was the last to see or speak to them? We have Anne Whitehead using Tony Tucker's landline to ring his mobile at 11:17 a.m. and again at 12:14 p.m. If we look further down, we have the Basildon Tyre Service phoning Craig Rolfe's landline at 3:21 p.m. and they're speaking to Donna Jaggers. An old school friend of Craig Rolfe worked at this tyre service, which was also a garage where they fixed cars, and Tucker, Tate and Rolfe would have taken their cars there. In fact, in a previous video I mentioned that Pat Tate was urgently wanting a car fixed as soon as possible for his girlfriend Lizzie Fletcher, and was supposed to pick it up on the day of the murders. Now, these phone logs here are probably all to do with them all phoning each other and passing any information on to each other, desperately trying to find out anything about the murders. Next, we have a call from Sarah Saunders' boyfriend's flat at 3:41 p.m, phoning Mick Steele's landline. Now, this could have been the call where Sarah Saunders uses her boyfriend's landline to speak to either Jackie Street or Mick Steele to try and find out anything about the murders. And Sarah Saunders could have said she last spoke to Pat Tate at 6:44 PM the night before. Then this could have been passed over to others wanting to find out of any information. As you can see from the phone log evidence, there's calls to and from parties going on all day. Now, right at the bottom of the page, there's 2 phone calls from Anna Whitehead again, using Tony Tucker's landline to phone Donna Jagger's landline. And these are at 6:02 PM and 6:03 PM. Like I said earlier, all it takes is Sarah Saunders to phone Mick Steele's landline and speak to Jackie Street or Mick Steele himself and pass the information on what they now know. So Darren Nichols is not the only person to know about the phone call between Sarah Saunders and Pat Tate at 6:44 PM that night. He could have found this information out by third party. He is not the only person to know about this phone call, saying Mick Steele told him when they were in the getaway car. It's the same with Darren Nichols saying Mick Steele told him when the shootings began, Pat Tate screwed like a pig. We only have his word for that. And come to think of it, we only have Darren Nichols' word Mick Steele was in the Range Rover that night. So that's it for now, and I'll give you a quick catch up on where the key individuals are. Sarah Saunders is now at Great Gregory in Basildon at 6:30 PM, and just like Nipper Ellis, this is as far as I can go with her. Nipper Ellis is at his home address in Swanage, Dorset at 5:50 PM. And Mick Steele is at the Halfway House pub with Craig Rolfe, Tony Tucker and Pat Tate, ready to set off in convoy to their next destination. Darren Nichols and Jack Wilms are set off along the A127 and are heading towards White House Farm in Rettendon. The grey Fiat Uno Turbo is yet to be picked up by Billy Jasper, which is parked up outside the Peacock's Gym in East London. So thank you to all the YouTube subscribers. Hope you've enjoyed the video, and don't forget, people, you can join the biggest and best Essex Boys Facebook group out there. There's over 18,000 members now, and new posts are being put on a daily basis. Thank you to the admins, Amy, Danny, Andrew and Tina, and to Dave the moderator, who all do a great job of keeping the group ticking over. So until next time, take care.